Guys, thanks. Today, House lawmakers are expected to take up a proposal closing the state's $220 million budget gap. And joining us this morning to talk about that and a whole lot more is Providence Mayor David Cicilline. Thanks for being here this morning.
Good morning.
First of all, how will this proposal impact the city of Providence? Because, you know, a lot of times we talk about the overarching state issues, but when you break it down to city by city, it really has a very high impact on the residents of those communities.
No question. The impact on the city of Providence of the proposed budget that the House Finance Committee passed is about an $8 million cut to the city of Providence, and that is being felt by cities and towns all across the state. What's particularly difficult is it's coming so late in the fiscal year. I think Providence, like every city and town, anticipating that the General Assembly would do some reduction in a supplemental budget, have been taking steps. We've been ensuring through our hiring council that we don't hire positions unless they're necessary, that we're canceling purchases that don't need to be made, figuring out how we get things done with less resources, which we've done over the last 7.5 years. Well, we're now, I've directed my Director of Administration, my Director of Operations, to look at what we can do over the next several months to close this gap. What kinds of measures can we take, again, while trying to preserve the quality of services, the delivery of service to residents of our city, and so looking at what positions we might eliminate, what purchases we might cancel. But the challenge is cities and towns have to deliver services to residents in their communities, and we're sort of where the rubber meets the roads. We can't cut any further, cut services,
bones,
you know, and so particularly this late in the budget year, when it's done as the regular part of the state budget, we can make that accommodation. But that's what cities and towns have to do. That's what I'll have to do as mayor, working with our council. But we'll close the gap. We'll have to probably use some of our reserve, which is not optimal, but this is a very challenging time, and we'll have to do part of it by doing that.
Are there any areas that you can see that where people are going to have to be laid off, or where there will be sweeping cuts?
Well, there will be positions that won't be filled. There may have to be layoffs. I mean, the biggest difficulty is there's a over $5 million cut in education. What's really disappointing is this is a time where we should be sustaining our investment in education. You know, if we're going to rebuild our state's economy, we have to ensure that we have the best education system in the country. And a reduction this late in the school year from education, I think, is a mistake. That will be one of the biggest challenges.
Just really quickly, as I have you here, how are the flood recovery efforts going for the people of Providence?
Well, you know, we had to evacuate about 150 people. We've been working very closely with Senator Reid and our whole delegation, with FEMA, with the SBA, to get resources to families and to small businesses as quickly as we can. We're now beginning the process of repairing the infrastructure, making sure that people have signed up to FEMA and SBA for help. But that work is happening, and we're getting people's lives back to normal.
Well, thanks so much for being here this morning. And of course, we have more resources about the flood cleanup efforts. All you have to do is head to foxprovidence.com. Time now, though, to get a check of